So, welcome to this side event on wetland as nature-based solution. We are going to introduce a 6 years project on wetland as nature-based solutions in the Mediterranean. And I'm very happy to introduce the, let's say, the welcoming panel, Mr. Rafael Hidalgo from the Ecological Transition Ministry of Spain, then Alessandra Sensi from the Union for the Mediterranean, which will just give us a message, a pre-recorded message, Gonzalo Olvedo from the MAVA Foundation. So then I of course, I present myself. I'm Alessio Salta, coordinator of the Ramsar Regional Initiative for the Mediterranean. And I will then, after the welcoming remarks, present you the agenda of today. So please, Rafael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alessio. Dear colleagues, dear friends, good evening, everyone. Let me please read my intervention. It's not too long, but at this time of the day and after 2-3 very intensive sessions of work, I'm not so in a good shape to improvise my intervention. So let me please read my intervention. Well, Spain currently holds the presidency of Medwed, the Medwed Initiative. So we have been kindly invited by the coordinator to deliver these few words of welcome at the opening of this side event. It's of course a big honor for us to make these welcoming remarks in this occasion. In the context of climate change, the conservation and restoration of our wetlands is an increasingly urgent priority, and this is especially true in our Mediterranean basin, both in the northern and southern shores of this hotspot of biodiversity and cradle of human societies. Well-preserved wetlands are exceptional allies in the fight against climate change. They are one of the most powerful nature-based solutions for its mitigation, and consequently to guarantee that biodiversity is conserved and the provision of their ecosystem services is assured for humankind. But due to the dramatic dimension of the challenge we face, we do need the collaboration of all the actors potentially involved in this set of actions. In our particular case, in the Mediterranean basin, which is our playground. Fortunately, there are many institutions and organizations that have been extensively working in this field of activity for a long time. So we have a lot of experience, commitment, and energy to move forward in this way. All these actors form a powerful network of expert organizations that combine, as I said, the commitment, knowledge, and expertise to conserve and restore Mediterranean wetlands, and also to improve skills, identify effective solutions, raise awareness, and spread best practices throughout the Mediterranean basin. Of course, the Medwed Initiative, which includes 27 Mediterranean states from the Mediterranean basin in Africa, Asia, and Europe, plus 2 associated organizations, is a key partner in this field. In fact, as probably you know, draft resolution number 20 in this COP14 dealing with nature-based solutions was prepared by Medwed, although it's officially sponsored by Spain, but it was prepared by the whole Medwed community and approved by all its member countries. I mean, this is a very sensitive issue for all the Medwed community. Thanks to all the work done, a lot of examples and case studies of wetland restoration and conservation as nature-based solutions exist already. Some of them will be presented in detail later in this event by experts in the field. This should serve to share experiences, field actions, and replicable movements. It should also serve to improve our understanding of the different ways to protect and maintain our wetlands. We are sure they will be of interest to you, and we hope you will also find inspiring elements in them. So, just to conclude, I, on behalf of the Spanish Ministry for the Ecological Transition, as current president of Medwet Committee and Steering Group, wish you all a very productive participation in this event, and also encourage your active collaboration in identifying the way forward in this field. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much to you, Miguel, and to Spain for guiding Medwet so well, I would say. Now we will have a short message from Ms. Alessandra Sensi of the Union for
Dear colleagues, it's a great pleasure to
She started. Please, Alessandra, wait a second. And Alessandra, she's leading the, she's one of the director of the Union for the Mediterranean. She's in charge for the Greener Med Agenda, which is the strategic plan of the Union for the Mediterranean. And she, the Union for the Mediterranean, that strongly supported the wetland-based solution project that is also labeled by the Union for the Mediterranean. So, please, Alessandra, the floor is yours.
with you today and open the Sediment on Mediterranean wetlands at the margin of the Ramsar COP. I'd like to start to thank Medwet, the speakers and the organization present with us today, and do it on behalf of the Union for the Mediterranean. Thank you very much for your restless support in keeping the attention high on the state and the alarming state of the Mediterranean wetlands, and to promote actions indeed in terms of protection, management and restoration. Let's start actually with a very simple and self-explanatory data, which is that since 1970, around 50%, and more precisely 48% of Mediterranean wetlands have been disappearing. That's why the UFM and its 42 Euro-Mediterranean countries have indeed committed to two very important ministerial declarations in 2021, specifically the one on sustainable blue economy and the one on environment and climate change, to support and reverse the state of degradation of Mediterranean wetlands, also through very dedicated, let's say, agendas for implementation, like the Greener Med Agenda. I'd like actually to mention that the UFM has indeed promoted and maintained, let's say, the political attention high of the UFM countries, has indeed promoted projects and initiatives which could cover both the north and south rim of the region, and has indeed fostered Mediterranean wetlands as important nature-based solution to achieve the carbon neutrality that the region needs. Let's not forget that the Mediterranean region is indeed warming faster than others, in particular 20% faster than others. Basically, climate change is no longer a forecast or prediction, but it's actually the reality that we all Mediterranean are living in. Of course, this is a very important endeavor that we cannot carry out on our own, and that's why it has been part of our, let's say, main task to mobilize as many countries and actors as possible. So thank you very much to the countries for their dedication and commitment, and to the stakeholders for having been able to react so promptly to these requests for help. Indeed, we are present here at the Ramsar COP with this very important decision on Mediterranean wetlands. We will be present also at COP27. As you might know, the UFM has been promoting, together with many other actors, Mediterranean Pavilion, where the Mediterranean community is going to be present as one, united, gathering indeed around this pavilion with a series of side events, including dedicated ones to nature-based solution, where indeed Mediterranean wetlands will be strongly present and visible. I'd like actually to take this opportunity before, let's say, concluding my introductory remarks to recall that on the 1st of December, in advance of COP15, which is of course another very important step in this dense last quarter of 2022, we will be organizing together with Medwed the second online conference on Mediterranean wetlands, where we hope to have you there active and ready to support and contribute to the follow-up actions. On the occasion of this second conference, we will show the latest scientific data available, the latest initiative and projects running in the Mediterranean region, as well as the financial support that could be, let's say, mobilized at the benefit of the entire region. So with this, I'd like to conclude and wish you a very good side event, and thank you for all of your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. So now I'm happy to introduce you Gonzalo Olviero from MAVA. Nothing would have been possible without the support of MAVA, which really generously contributed to this project for 6 years. It's quite unusual actually to have the opportunity to implement such a project for a long term of six years. So please, Gonzalo.
Thank you very much, Alessia. I want to start by thanking the organizers, and Alessia in particular, for inviting the MAVA Foundation to be present today with you and to say a few words. The MAVA Foundation is extremely pleased to see the developments that have taken place, generally on wetland conservation in the region, and more specifically in the case of Medwet, and particularly this project, which is extremely interesting. As you know very well, the MAVA Foundation has been associated with wetland conservation in the region since its start, and even before with Dr. Luc Robben. So for the MAVA Foundation, it's a topic very close to its heart and to its main commitments. I think that experience in wetland conservation in the region is extremely valuable, and there is a lot to learn and a lot to share with other regions. It's not very usual to find, as it is the case in the Mediterranean today, such a strong partnerships working for wetland conservation. Multi-stakeholder partnerships that bring together governments, civil society together with private sector, working with common objectives and in a very constructive and fruitful manner. This is extraordinary, and MAVA, of course, is very pleased to, as I said, to have been associated with this process and to have supported many of these initiatives and many of the organizations and institutions that are involved in this work and present today through you. This particular project of wetlands-based solution, as I said, is particularly interesting, especially interesting, not just because of its focus on conservation of wetlands as a solution to climate change threats and to wetland degradation and other factors. But it's an experience of bringing together good knowledge, good science, good understanding of the issues, with a very strong policy commitment from governments and from civil society, and working from the bottom with strong grounds in the field, and learning from the case studies, as we are going to learn today from the sites. So it's quite a valuable approach that the project has taken, and this is why IUCN, MAVA, has been so committed to supporting this project and to helping the partners to move ahead with their objectives. With this, I wish you all the best, not just in the discussion today, but in the continuation. I look forward to learning from the case studies, and we will be closely still in the few months that still the MAVA Foundation is has its doors open. We will be closely interacting with you to discuss the future. Thank you very much, Alessio, and everyone.
Thank you very much, Gonzalo, again and again. And please let me give you some insights of this project, because I just list some of the successes of the project. First of all, let me tell you that it brought together 37 partners in 10 countries for 6 years. And I just list some of the results that are quite impressive. Also, reading again, it's very impressive. First, we measure the concrete conservation status improvement in 8 wetlands. So we assess the conservation status improvement in Bahia de Cádiz, Doñana, Estany de Pons, and Maristany in Spain, Buna-Bojana in Albania, Gadelmela in Tunisia, Oristano in Italy, and Ucina Selin in Montenegro. These wetlands were assessed in 2016 and 2022, and the improvement in terms of conservation was absolutely amazing. We work on 25 wetlands for around 30,000 hectares that have been benefit from concrete restoration actions. Nearly 10,000 hectares of coastal wetlands have achieved a better protection. Gadelmel was recognized, as you know, we discussed it today, as the first Ramsar city, one of the first Ramsar cities in the world, someone could argue, with other French cities. Over 500 businesses, stakeholders are adopting concrete sustainable practice to reduce their impact on wetlands. We work on increasing the capacity of Mediterranean wetland managers, especially Ramsar site manager, and on 50 critical wetlands. We also have embedded our outcomes in the legal frameworks of, as you listened before, of the Union for the Mediterranean Policy Framework, on the Biodiversity Action Plan of the Barcelona Convention, and also in the EU Strategy on Adaptation to Climate Change. And also, last but not least, we have worked and prepared a draft resolution that we like a lot, which is the 18.20 that we hope will be approved tomorrow at the COP. So just to give you a few ideas, but now I give the floor to the main actors, the key actors of 4 among the partners that were involved, and which are Jean Jalbert from Tour du Valat, that I invite to join the floor, Teresa Gigil from WWF Spain, Vania Statsu from the Netzi Foundation, and Marianne Kuruble from Medweb. So please, John will give an example, a very interesting example of wetland nature-based solution in Camargue.
Thank you very much. So I guess I've only 2 minutes left. So, good evening, everybody. The idea is to just present you very briefly one of the implementation of this wetlands-based solutions approach. Do you hear me correctly?
Yes.
Okay. The one in the Camargue. The Camargue is the Rhone River Delta in southern France. Like every Mediterranean delta, it's a quite young delta, less than 20,000 years, and extremely dynamic. You can see on this map the different shorelines moving southward over time, and the different branches of Rhone River moving all around the delta over time as well. So extremely dynamic and quite young. That's what we have to keep in mind regarding deltas. Also, they are very flat and lowland. In the Camargue, more than 70% of the total surface of the delta is below 1 meter elevation. And when we are speaking about climate change, we can imagine what it means. And of course, it's a land which is very much subject to floods, to sea surges, to salinization. At the same time, it's a very rich, in biodiversity, the soils are rich, so people have been attracted for centuries in this delta, like Kini Delta, and at the same time they were repulsed, let's say, because of the floods, the salt, and so on. So they tried for centuries to get rid of floods and the salt, and finally, at the end of the 19th century, they succeeded. They could build dikes all around the delta, and because of that, they have been able to develop, to manage to develop a very sophisticated irrigation system and to develop agriculture and many activities. And for 1.5 centuries, people there have the feeling of stability, that now it is fixed forever. But clearly it is not, it is an illusion. And under the pressure of climate change, things are moving again. You can see on this map here the coastal erosion on one part of the delta. In blue, it's the erosion, and you can see that in some parts we have lost more than 1.5 kilometers over the last century. And in some other parts, so in the south part, it's strong erosion, and in the western part, the sand deposits and up to 2 kilometers westward. And due to the climate change, a number of factors. First, a natural factor, subsidence. So the delta is drowning, is getting lower and lower in its weight, but also due to the climate change and the human activities, we get much less sediments coming to the river mouth. The sea level is rising. It was 2 millimeters per year during the 20th century, and now it's by almost 5 millimeters per year, so quite high acceleration. And like everywhere, the extreme weather events are more powerful, let's say. And this means that there is an increasing coastal erosion, increasing flood risk, more difficult to manage the water within the delta, and increasing salinization as well. So in this context, at the bottom of the delta, you see this blue and red part was salinas. The big salina was the biggest in the Mediterranean region, more than 14,000 hectares. And the western part of the salina, the blue one, was threatened by coastal erosion. And some 12 years ago, the salt company decided to stop producing salt because it was too costly. They had to rebuild every year the dikes, and they decided to stop salt production and to sell it to the French Coastal Conservancy, Conservatoire Littoral, a public body aimed at purchasing land which is a coastal area which is threatened by, let's say, development project. And since then, we are managing this land, restoring it, adapting to climate change, and especially to sea level rise, through, let's say, strategic retreat. So retreating progressively in erodic sectors, and at the same time ensuring that the biodiversity can increase through this ecological restoration. So we did it. So the nice part of the story is most of the work has been done by the sea itself. During each storm, the sea creates new channels, new paths, but we had to help it a bit because we had to reconnect the sea with the inland lagoons and the big lagoons you can see in the center. During salt production, fresh water is the threat for salt production, so they avoided any freshwater intrusion, and now we are reconnecting freshwater bodies with the sea. The idea was to abandon the front dike. You can see here in green here. This dike was eroded and damaged from time to time. It was very costly to maintain it, so we decided not to maintain it anymore, this dike. At the same time, to maintain this one, which is 4 kilometers inland, so keeping the people safe, people living northward safe, but in all this area, more than 4,000 hectares, now the sea is ruling the parts. It's really the sea is managing the site, and we are just trying to help it a bit. So we reinforced the northern dikes, and we reconnected all the hydrology, and especially here we had to make this kind of big sluice under big the protection dikes. And what happened is that we proved that it was extremely effective as a climate buffer in dissipating the energy of waves during the storms, and therefore protecting or helping people protecting their crops and livelihoods behind the dikes. It was also very effective in creating a new sandy shoreline. I mentioned that the sediments are decreasing. The sediments carried by the Rhone River, are decreasing over time, and when the waves hurt the dike, the energy of the waves took out the sand offshore, and the sand was lost forever. And now the dike is collapsing. During storms, the sand is getting over the dikes and depositing, on the other side of the dike. And we will show you a picture of this. And the other good point is that we noticed a very, very important and fast increase in biodiversity value in many species, especially brackish water or seawater species, fish, especially fish with a high commercial value, which proved very interesting for the local people. And the process has been quite fast. You can see on these 3 slides, you see the first one is in 2014, second 2016, 2018-19. You see that the landscape is changing dramatically, very fast. The sea is gaining over the place, and the landscape and the functions are completely changing over time. Just to summarize what happened, here you have an aerial view of the place, the coastal line. You have the former front dike, which is collapsing here. It was all this. You see this part has already collapsed, the lagoon and the sea. And little by little you had breaches, and the breaches now have made a permanent connection between the sea and the lagoons. And what happened also, what I said, is this during storms, you have this huge sand deposit here. And this is a kind of our life insurance for the future. I mean, all this sand is the new sandbar, which is going to move northwards over time, and probably make dunes, which will be the best barriers against the floods and the storms in the future. So we are really developing a nature-based solutions, in the sense that nature is driving the system, biodiversity is increasing very fast, and it helps addressing a key challenge for people living here: climate change and sea level rise. So we do believe it's quite a success. However, there are a number of challenges, and one of them is the social acceptance. I told you that in this area, people fought for centuries against the sea. And so the first people who say, okay, now we are going to let the sea getting in, we have to shoot these people. It's crazy, it's not feasible. So at the moment it's quite difficult, and there is a strong argument between people on whether we should do that or not. And a lot of people are for raising dikes. We do believe that this is more clever. Also, another issue is how to develop socio-economic activities in such a unstable environment. And so, as I told you, there is a strong increase in fish, for example, of high commercial value, but no one is able to fish in these conditions. It's too risky, too moving. But that's the key challenge on which we are working at the moment. But the general feeling is that we do believe that this makes real sense and can inspire some people in other places in the Mediterranean basin. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I know that we are running a little bit late, but I think we deserve at least one question per presentation. So if there is one question, you're welcome. 1, 2.
Are you developing any type of raising awareness campaign with local population just to explain the benefits of this approach?
Yes, we are. We try at least. It's not very easy because one of the partner of this and the main manager of the site is the natural regional park. It means it's all the local authorities. So the mayors, local representatives are supposed to rule the system, but they don't dare at least to say that they are willing to do so, because the local population don't want to have this kind of nature-based solutions put in place. So it's quite tricky because we try to convince people, locals, fishermen, hunters, the pupils, but let's say the political environment is not very favorable for that.
Thank you, Jean. So the next, please, Teresa Gilgil from WWF Spain, the case of Mallorca.
You don't mind, I will speak. I don't want to be sitting all day. First of all, just thank you, Alessio and Medweb, to organize this side event and invite WWF. As mentioned before, WWF Spain has been part of this project since the beginning, and we have had two roles. One was coordinating an initiative to try to promote and replicate restoration across the Mediterranean, and it's where Alessio mentioned that we have been developing several tools for policymakers, like this handbook or some online training that you can find in the Wetland-Based Solution website. And in the other part, we were belonging to a network of Mediterranean islands that were doing pilot projects on the ground, and in particular we were working in Mallorca to develop the restoration of an ecological corridor, in particular into wetlands. Just to introduce you, we have been working in Spain in the Balearic Islands, in Mallorca, in the north of Mallorca, but also in the region of taking into account all the Balearic Islands. So we start with the Mediswed initiative to inventory the wetlands. We need to know what we want, what we have, and the conservation status, just to understand what we have to do to protect them. So at the beginning, in 2016, we have this inventory ready that has been annually updated, and maybe after listening today these big scales in China and other countries, maybe in the opposite, we were just dealing with the small wetlands adapted to Mediterranean climate, that most of them were temporary ones, but they hold a very important biodiversity and has the importance in particular for connectivity. So for us was a success that these small wetlands were included in the regional inventory, and that has been taken into account in the coming revision of the hydrological plan at Balearic Islands. And also, thanks to this work and the relationship with the regional government, they asked to contribute and prepare a draft for the wetland conservation strategy that the regional government will approve and present in the coming World Wetland Day in 2023, that is aligned with the National Strategy for Wetlands that the Spanish Ministry. I hope it will approved before the end of the year. We are expecting that and looking forward. These wetlands are located here in the north of Mallorca and has a special role because here's Stanley Spawn and this is Maristany. They connect to protected areas. One is Ramsar site, Albufera de Mallorca, and the other is a reserve that is Albufereta. So in the past there was like a big complex of wetland that has been degraded because since the 60s this has a very touristic interest and was completely built by houses and urban site. In fact, we are not going to be able to recover the situation that it was in the 18th century, but at least we will try to improve the conservation status of the remaining areas that are still under construction. This is an example just from the Stanley Spawn that you can see has been fully constructed, and only this area was remained without constructions thanks to an urban planning that arrived quite soon, and somehow this will be like a good ally for floodings because it's a coastal lagoon. So the city council, it was very easy to convince the city council just to support this project because will help in the events of the cold drop that are very usual in the Balearic Islands to reduce the flooding risks. So the area, because has been a private owner that well, maybe even didn't know that they have this property. It was a bit, it was like a lack of control. So it was really a place where everybody was just throwing all type of waste and debris. And in the north even there was like illegal carting that was just depositing lot of wheels in the area, and even rest of gardening that has been like an entrance for a lot of alien species. So by 2019, through the support of MAVA Foundation, we started working in Stanley Spawn, and later on we include a second, we scale up and we include a second wetland, Maristany, and we did participatory workshops just trying to involve all the stakeholders in the area. And for us it was very surprising that from different sectors everybody was really supporting the idea of improving the wetland, because it has not only interest for nature, it has also a lot of potential for improving the touristic quality of the area. And we have this action plan and everybody was involved, and the commitment from local and regional government, it was very easy to upscale the funds that we will have for the coming years. So for us it will be really a good post-MAVA scenario. So now we have this project that will be led by the city council, and also with us is the university, so it's very important to have like a science-based project and to monitor the success of the actions we are doing. So the objective was to fight against the effect of climate change and improve the quality of the conservation status of habitats, and also to improve the public use and reduce the pressure that the nearby protected areas has. So we have alternative for visitors, and also to be like a driving force for economy, and also to raise awareness among local people and coming generation, just to take care of its own natural heritage. So until now, what we have achieved, as I mentioned, we discovered that this area belongs to a private owner, that it was a Santander Group, is a bank. So it was quite difficult to started contacting them, but at the end it was a surprise because they decided to donate 500,000 hectares to the city council. That for us it was the best solution for a long-term conservation of the area, and they are really supporting the project. And we have done a lot of studies just to understand what are the values and what has been lost, just to restore them. And we start to do some pilot actions, like cleaning 28,000 of tons of wheels and plastic, removing exotic vegetation, also involving local people and some stakeholders, and also contributing with the schools of the area that they were also running a citizen science program, and they will help us, or they are helping us in the monitoring of the wetlands. Also, one of the first things we did was to put this type of fences just to avoid the perturbation and the threats keep going, that are sometimes very cheap measures, very simple, that can make a difference in the area. And of course, we invest a lot in doing some videos and documentaries that, if someone is interested, are also in the website of the project. And in particular, some of them that for me, what I think they were very innovative, that we put in the hotels, in the reception of the hotels, so the tourists can realize that there is a wetland close to the hotel, and that maybe in coming years will be a nice place to have a walk. And also we have been doing a lot of meetings with regional governments. So in the coming years we will keep doing more actions, in particular to amplify the area that can be flat, and recovering small wetland areas that are important for specific fauna and flora species. And also in the Maristani, we will also be treating and maintaining some of the channels that are close to the urban park, and also deal with some invasive polychaeto skeletons that has built some structure that don't allow bird community to install. So this is some of the example of the dredging that will be open, that we need a lot of permits and authorization that need time to come in. And this is the area with the invasive polychaeto that with the rest of it we will make some islet for birds. So for us the lesson learned is that prioritize stopping threats and perturbation before restoring, that not always is taken into account, so it was worth to invest on that with very simple measure. Also that difficulties can become opportunities, as I mentioned with the private owner, that maybe you have to start slow and at some point everything is speed up. And for us, one of the main lessons to sport is that it is worth to take care and time to involve all the stakeholders on the process from the beginning, and sometimes it's the best investment to secure a long-term conservation, because it's not only restoring, it's also what will happen later. It's important to involve local economic sector as allies, as we discovered with the tourist sector that from the beginning were very supportive, and for sure involving new generations, so civil science, because it's the best investment for the future. So this is our experience that will keep going for at least 3 more years. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Teresa. One quick question. 1, 2, 3, next. Vanya. Vanya Statsu from the Metsi Foundation will present the case of the Gulf of Oristano in Sardinia, Italy.
Okay, we will speak again about Maristanis, but in this case it's not the name of one site, but is the ancient name of the Gulf of Oristano, which includes the 6 Ramsar sites that are in this part of Sardinia, that accounts for the 18% of the total Ramsar sites in Italy. This is a real biodiversity hotspot, especially for the migratory birds, which is also protected by the Natura 2000 site, which also includes one marine protected area. Okay. Which are the main purpose of the Maristanis project? We are dealing with 6 Ramsar sites, so the main objective was to achieve an integrated governance of all the 6 Ramsar sites, but also achieving a sustainable management for each single site. When the project started in 2017, we found that we will have to tackle with 3 main categories of challenges. The first issues refer to administrative elements, so lack of coordinated governance, lack of the overlapping of several systems of protection, but also lacking in the management of the area, especially shared management, and the lack of a strategy for the protection of all these areas. On the other side, several climate environmental changes are affecting all the 6 Ramsar sites, and there was overlapping to a lot of anthropogenic impacts due to the anthropic activity and especially to the economic activities. Indeed, in this part of Sardinia are located some of the main actors in the agri-food sector, especially in the agricultural sector, in the cattle breeding sector, and also in the aquaculture sector. So we are dealing with several very strong and important companies that are acting in this area. So the first element that was created was a new governance model. This new governance model is the Maristanis Coastal Wetland Contract. This is a voluntary agreement that is legally recognized by the Italian legislation. It's turned to be a shared commitment act that involved both public and private subjects that have different interests concerning the wetlands, and the main aim of the coastal wetland contract is to integrate all these different interests in one main strategy, a shared strategy that is able to define responsibility and also to implement the tools that are required to make this new governance model a real and concrete system of governance, and also to obtain a sustainable management for all the 6 Ramsar sites. Which are these tools? There are a very wide range of tools, but today we focus on nature-based solutions, and I will present 2 cases of the several nature-based solutions that we developed in the past 6 years. One element that was very important for the effectiveness of the nature-based solutions in our case was to propose to our stakeholders multi-objective and multi-stakeholders nature-based solutions. So one single activity, one single intervention that was able to achieve different objectives. For example, reduce pollution, but also to provide a concrete measure for the adaptation to the climate change, at the same time to support local economy. Because in our case, to be resilient to the climate change means not only to be able to preserve biodiversity, but also to preserve local economies. One example is this one. This is Maggio Survey, is a new company, a startup company that was created thanks to the support of the Maristanis project by some young guys in the area of Maristanis to promote precision agriculture in this area. Why precision agriculture is important in our context? Because we are severely affected by lack of rainfalls that alternates to strong rainfalls, and we are in an area where there are rice growers and also maize growers, so very water demanding crops. And the aim to improve precision agriculture tools, in this case with the drones, is to reduce the pressures on the groundwater, fresh water, in order to have a constant flow of water into the wetlands, avoiding, for example, eutrophication when the high temperature in the summer period could create anoxia. Another example is a specific intervention that we are dealing in these two lagoons, the lagoon of Marcedì and San Giovanni. These are two close lagoons. Effectively, Marcedì is a lagoon and it is characterized by brackish water, while San Giovanni is a pond because it's characterized by fresh water. And the two were split in the 70s by dikes that was built to improve fishing activities. Today, the extreme events related to climate change are overlapping and also altering a lot of human pressure created by economic activities and other anthropic activities in the area. It is creating new strong impact like flooding, loss of habitat, very poor water quality, but also a lot of difficulties in the water circulation from the inland to the sea and vice versa that are severely affected also the population, because the flood also involve the small villages and the port that are located inside the Ramsar site, but also severely affect the traditional fishing activity. So we need a solution. We need a solution that was able to reduce the impact of the flooding both in inland and coastal flooding and improve water quality. We need a solution that at the same time was able to reduce the loss of habitat and species, so to preserve biodiversity and preserve the integrity of ecosystem. At the same time, we need something that was able to improve fishing activities, so to restocking younger fish species and increase the fishing flow. All this managed in a framework of the sustainable management that is guaranteed by the coastal wetland contract that we have seen before. The solution that we have found is that there is smart opening mitigation systems that is able to aggregate the flow of water from the inland to the sea and vice versa. Red lines and cross indicate the dikes that now are obstaculating the flow of water during the floods. The smart opening systems using two different kind of sensors. A sensor that is able to recognize the sea level rise on one side that is put in this part of the lagoon, and several other sensors that measure water quality parameters and especially salinity are able to indicate, to build an early warning system that can provide information to open or close some dikes. For example, if we have an inland, an excess of rainfalls in the inland part, so excess of fresh water that arrive into the lagoon, reducing salinity, so creating a lot of difficulties, especially from the added value mollusk production in this area. The smart system could open these dikes, letting the salt water to flow into the lagoon, so rebalancing the salinity in this area. Additionally, we will provide fishermen in this lagoon with some boats that are equipped with monitoring systems in order to empower them to give them the role of guardians of their lagoons, be able also to deal with these very innovative tools, not to be put out of the system, but be the main actor of these systems. Moreover, the renaturation of all these areas and revegetation of the riparian site could provide not only a system to reduce the effect of floods along this area where there are a lot of crop production and a small village, but it's also able to create a buffer zone where bioremediation could reduce the flow of pollutant from agriculture into the lagoon. Stop.
Vanya, one question. 1, 2, 3, go. Please,
Thank
Maria.
you.
So we are almost
Almost
finished. No conclusion. I will not, deliver any conclusion. So because otherwise you will kill me.
Hello everyone, my name is Marianne Kouroub, I'm the policy officer for Medwet. I'm going to present you two different strategies of the Wetland-based solution program. In fact, Medwet was in charge of the policy, advocacy, and also communication of this big project. And it was quite tricky because we had to work with 37 organizations. We not only had to promote what they were doing, but also through these messages we had to convince decision makers on the urgency to act for conservation and restoration of wetlands. But behind that, it was also to explain that the conservation and restoration of wetlands is not only about biodiversity, it's about people, it's about the resilience of military people and the economy. And it is urgent to act because it's already climate change is already happening, and the stability of the region is at stake, and people and it's linked to the future as Vanya was saying just now. It is through the people that will save and restore the wetlands. So I will briefly show you what. Yes. So what is done in terms of policy? So as you know, as Alessio just mentioned, that we worked as a group to prepare this draft Ramsar resolution with a technical annex specifically on the restoration of metered wetlands. That was one of the work we did. Then, again, as Alessio mentioned earlier, we developed a quite strong partnership with UFM. So Medwet managed to get the project Wetland-based solution labeled as UFM project. So it now contributes to the UFM Green Med agenda for 2030, and it's also included now in two UFM ministerial declarations. In fact, there's two. There's the one on sustainable blue economy and the one on environment and climate change. And so we developed quite a lot of activities with UFM as partners. We participate to many task force of the UFM conferences. So we had one in November 2021, and we have, as Alessandra Sensi was saying, there's a second one coming. And it is quite, it is important because UFM has 32 members and is also doing advocacy and fundraising for major wetlands. Next one, of course, we worked closely and followed the Ramsar Convention. We participated and developed a position paper for the especially to raise the urgency to act for coastal wetlands in December 2019. And at the last COP14, we organized a side event with case studies, with videos, and it was was quite good as an advocacy tool to use this kind of videos to be a bit more, to illustrate a bit more with his image the issue that stakes and the challenges on the ground. And we had references on the wetland restoration in the biodiversity action plan of the new biodiversity action plan of the convention. I don't know, I forgot something. Oui, this one. We, of course, we worked quite a lot with the European Commission to make sure that the restoration of wetlands are mainstream in the EU policy development. So we have managed to get provision on wetland restoration as included in the new EU strategy of adaptation to climate change. And there should be dedicated funding for Mediterranean region as a strategy to adapt to climate change. We work quite a lot with the European Commission in the work to establish the EU law on restoration of ecosystem. And what is good is we've been participating in meeting. We organized some events, webinars, and policy brief with the Commission. And the result of it is that the tools that were developed during this program will be considered for the member states when they will have to develop the implementation plan for the restoration law. And then I'm going to this is some of the action that were taken on the ground especially in the sites. And so you have the Malistani coastal wetland management contract. Then the next presentation. Then I will show you the quickly. Yeah, and so. So in terms of communication, so we've again, let me get past because it's
results.
So there was we did quite a lot of develop quite a lot of communication tools again to raise awareness and for all the stakeholders, not only the decision makers but also people on the ground. And so we developed more than 20 videos. Always the idea was really to show what is going on the ground. It's to tell stories, to really make people understand that things are going on now and they have to act. So we have over 30 various publications on the issues. This is one of the main thing, and we go on after the project. It is a dedicated website on the restoration of Mediterranean coastal wetlands. And so you can find everything on this website, and this will continue after the project. So it is a reference for the subject. We did quite a lot of communication material for the journalists, and we worked a lot with American journalists and also other journalists and we trained them. So that was very, very successful, and I wanted to say that the website had now more than 60,000 people visiting the website, which is quite good. So we work quite a lot on social media as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Sorry for that. Just maybe something that you mentioned that I really would like to stress is we train journalists. So we asked to send experts of science and journalists to come and to train journalists. So because we realize that journalists are not ready for spreading the messages, also to understand the messages about wetland conservation, ecosystem, etc. So we thought, and we just started actually, on really training journalists to how to spread the message, how to explain what's going on in wetlands. And I think this is should be very much one of the focus of Ramsar, to improve its capacity to communicate to the rest of the world. Thank you very much. These were the conclusion. Enjoy your dinner, or and don't work too much tonight. Bye. Grazie.